Piaget's context and keywords of his theory. The first cognitive theory developed by Jean Piaget beginning about 1920. Piaget observed and described children at different ages. His theory is very broad, from birth through adolescence, and includes concepts of language, scientific reasoning, moral development, and memory. Children construct their own knowledge in response to their experiences. Children learn many things on their own without the intervention of older children or adults. Children are intrinsically motivated to learn and don't need rewards from adults to motivate learning. The concepts we need to understand, first place, is cognition. Refers to the internal processes of the mind that lead to knowledge, memory, symbolization, categorizations, problem solving, fantasy, and even dreams. Human cognition is a network of mental structures that are created by the individual in a constant effort to make sense of the experiences that are the mental structures that Piaget names schemes. Structure. They are the set of responses that take place after the subject of knowledge has acquired certain elements from outside. Thus, the central point of what we could call the theory of the manufacture of intelligence is that it is built in the head of the subject through an activity of the structures that feed on the action schemes, that is, of regulations and coordination of the activities of the child. The structure is nothing more than a balanced integration of schemes. Thus, for the child to move from one state to another at a higher level in development, he has to use the schemes that he already possesses, but at the level of structures. A scheme is an organized pattern of thoughts or behavior that usually change with the age, that allow generating new knowledge. Nature versus nurture. Nature and nurture interact to produce cognitive development. Nature is the maturation of brain and body, ability to perceive, learn, act, and motivation. Nurture has two branches, adaptation and organization. Adaptation. The adaptation is always present through two basic elements, assimilation and accommodation. It fixes stability at some points and change at others. So children respond to the demands of the environment in ways that meet their own goals. It's divided in assimilation and in accommodation. Assimilation refers to the way in which an organism faces stimulus from the environment in terms of current organization. It consists of the incorporation of the objects within the behavior schemes. People translating common information into a form they can understand. For example, a child sees a zebra for the first time and names it wrongly as a horse, an animal more familiar to his order of experience. Another example is an infant receives a bottle for the first time and immediately tries to suck it, as the experience with the mother's nipple has prepared him to relate to the object in that way. Now the accommodation. Accommodation implies a modification of the current organizations in response to the demands of the environment. It is the process through which the subject adjusts to external conditions. In other words, people adapt current knowledge structures in response to new experience. Using the same example that I said before, the same child who sees the zebra for the first time, it becomes clear that it is another animal, and the little one learns to distinguish it from horses, incorporating a new learning method. The same infant with the bottle eventually learns to hold it to be able to suck it, which he should not with the mother's womb, incorporating a difference to similar objects. Organization. Children integrate particular observations into a body of coherent knowledge. It is an attribute that intelligence possesses and is formed by the stage of knowledge that lead to different behaviors in specific situations. For Piaget, an object can never be perceived or learned in itself but through the organizations of the actions of the subject in question. Equilibration is the unit of organization in the knowing subject. They are the so-called bricks of all construction of the cognitive system. They regulate the interactions of the subject with reality, since they in turn serve as assimilating frames through which new information is incorporated into the person. People balance assimilation and accommodation to create stable understanding. For Piaget, the balancing process between assimilation and accommodation is established in three successively more complex levels. Number one, the balance is established between the schemes of the subject and external events. Number two, the balance is established between the subject's own schemes. Number three, the equilibrium translates into a hierarchical integration of differentiated schemes. Now we are going to talk about the different stages of the Piaget's theory. The first one is sensory motor stage, that is the period to 2 years. The child learns that an object still exists when it is not in sight and begins to think using both mental and physical actions. Reflex and types of reflexes keep moving but ignore their disappearance. In circular reactions, we have three parts of it. The primary is look closely at the point where an object has disappeared. The secondary is search for a partially hidden object. And tertiary, search and find an object that has been visibly displaced. I want to know if you are paying attention or if you saw the whole video. So comment pink cognitive process in the comments and then I will know if you saw it. The second stage is preparational stage, 2 to 7 years. The imagination flourishes and language becomes an important means of self-expression and influence for others. Children gradually begin to lose focus and to understand and coordinate multiple points of view, increase capacity in different categories, size, shape, and color. In this part we have egocentrism. Children generally assume that others share their point of view. Animism. Children are likely to assume that unknown objects move on their own or have life. Number 3, causality. Limit awareness of causality. They assume that when faced with two related events, one always causes the other. Number 4, perception centering. They make judgments based on perceptual appearances and focus only on aspects of a situation when seeking answers to a problem. Number 5, irreversibility and reversibility. Children can mentally undo an action they have witnessed it. They cannot think about the way that an object or situation was before the object or situation changed. The next one is concrete operational stage, 7 to 12 years. Apply logical skills, learn to understand basic conversation concepts, and changing the appearance or arrangement of objects doesn't change their key properties. The last one is formal operational stage, 12 years and up. Ethical, political, social, and moral issues become more interesting and involve the adolescent as they become able to develop a broader and more theoretical approach to the experience. Children can think deeply about concrete events and can reason abstractly and hypothetically. So, thank you for watching, and this is Piaget's context and keywords of his theory.